Hey everybody, hope you had a lovely day. My name is Poornima. I'm from India, a small city called Bangalore, and I run a project called the Aravani Art Project, and it is a cis and transgender women art collective based in India. Um, I'd like to start upon how I started the project, how I founded the project. Um, the project happened as a collaboration between the transgender community and me while I was shooting a documentary for 3.5 years with a London-based filmmaker. I realized that there was so much more potential within the community, within the people from the community. And since I ended up making so many friends from the transgender community here, and in India, the people from the trans community are still, discriminated and are not treated as equals in many, many ways. It's only in recent times that a law was even passed to recognize them as a third gender by the government, and this happened as recent as 2014. And until then, there was no scope of them having an identification. Uh, they were not allowed to get houses. They were not allowed to, avail any medical facilities. They were not able to finish their education. So a big chunk of years, I would say more than a decade, has been, has disappeared with this whole acceptance. And um, we have a lot of history in India where we talk about um, the trans community being very important in a kingdom, or as part of our culture. And soon after the Britishers took over, everything became illegal. Um, their existence became illegal, and it's been a long haul that everybody, each individual has been fighting for whatever rights that are right now coming into play. But yet, as we all know, the trans people are still facing so much violence everywhere across the world, and are going through severe bouts of acceptance, even simple as finding a home, finding a friend sometimes. Um, these problems persists a lot more within the lower economic population in India, and that's pretty much who I work with. I specifically work with transgender people who are mostly into either begging or sex work. Um, my job is not to completely remove them from the work they do, but to give them a choice, for them to be able to make that choice, and to be able to live and have the right to actually leisure, have a right to expression, and use this platform for their own mental health and for their benefit. Um, while I talk about that, I would like to stress upon the sustainability development goals that we try and focus on. One is number 5, which is the gender equality, which we work through our project. And I will tell you more about what our project does. We also interlink sustainability development goal 8, which is decent work and economic growth, which is something we think that anybody from any class, any caste, any gender has the right to. And the last sustainability goal that we think that we weave into is the sustainable cities and communities, since our project is largely about repainting walls and painting murals. So that's what we do at Aravani Art Project. We are an art collective that paints huge murals, um, and give a lot of people from the transgender community the benefit of, I don't know, like being seen and being heard, and through the arts, and reclaiming public spaces largely. And now we just completed 6 years yesterday, and we're entering our 7th year of existence. Um, what has been an important learning in all of this um, is that for many years, the transgender community have always been seen as a problem and not as a solution. And I think it was really interesting to move into the arts and actually have a lot of people come forward or make it more accessible for people to come and have a conversation with the trans people more than anything else. And this really helped with their own, self confidence, with their own self respect, with how they were perceived in the society, especially because they're constantly seen on the road as people who beg or at night during sex work. So, for them to be reclaiming these same spaces during the day as artists has been something that they are treasuring right now. I think at Aravani Art Project, we are really, really keen on how people change their perspective about the way they view the people from the community. Um, we are very sure about how we like to integrate the people from the community into the projects, into the people who are participating in the project. Largely, the projects are happening with larger corporations nowadays. We get a lot of commission projects from multinational companies, even government bodies, large educational institutions, and all of it is done through the art. So, which is giving everybody a livelihood, a source of livelihood, and the kind of respect that they deserve. We also do very intimate projects with kids from schools because it's also important to spread this knowledge within the school, within the youth, actually, because their perspective about how they see the community is so important right now. And they shouldn't be biased by what their parents are trying to tell them or feed them, or what the school or what even our textbooks do. I think none of it is being helpful towards the community. And um, again, through the arts, it becomes very seamless. It becomes a little more jovial. It's a little more conversational, and it's not very forced or preachy, which helps a lot of people think on their own feet and to make the right decision about respecting the people from the community. Our project, like I said, started as a process of co-creation with the people from the community back in 2016 in January. It was just a conversation. I studied art and I specialized in painting, although mural making and wall painting was something I just self-taught, and I was painting for a while. And after I finished the documentary shoot, I realized that there was so much more potential, and I just over a cup of chai, we all discussed that we'll all paint a wall together. And I told them I'll invite some friends from my how do I say community, the artist community, and because I just felt like the people from my artist community who are so close to me did not know so much about the transgender community themselves. So I thought it was important for them to meet each other and understand each other. And it started from that, and then it's been a snowball effect right now. And some of the images that I'm sharing are during the process. Some of it are the process of how our mural making, came into place, and the finished ones as well. Um, this, for example, is called Navu Idivi. This was again happened over a discussion. And it says we exist, which is the first thing they felt like they needed to really say, and felt like they needed to say it out loud because they felt they have been feeling neglected for so many years. They thought during a wall painting as big as this, they felt the most basic voicing out that they could do was to just tell people that they existed. So this stood out really, really well within the community, and us being especially me as an artist who's just a messenger right now, to be able to picturize or visualize their ideas. Soon we got into, like I said, spaces within their neighborhoods. We got grants to explore more about their culture, more about their tradition, because all of it is disappearing as as so many other traditions are disappearing as well. And we felt it was important to also get into the space of archiving and researching what is close to the trans community. And how they've been existing for so many years. And in India, the culture and tradition is really, really rich, and it goes back a really long way, religiously, mythologically, and in many other forms. So we're also moving into different forms of art, which is like one of it is a play that we produced about 9 trans women who are, talking about their own experiences living a life in a city like Bangalore, for example, which was also part of a grant. We explored spaces where they would meet their lovers or where they would have their heartbreaks and failures. And we spoke about love stories about during a Valentine's Day in 2019. We did this as a walk in a park that is very famous within the trans community in Bangalore. And yeah, like I said, we are moving towards the visuals of the murals that we're making and creating within these, within many spaces. And I must say, we've had some really interesting and incredible supporters and well-wishers and amazing people who have commissioned us, with which we are making a living right now. Um, So this is actually during COVID when every other collective was struggling for work, and we were really lucky to get a project from the Museum of Art and Photography about how Bangalore came together to solve a problem like COVID as a community, as a society, and as a very urban metropolitan city we are. Um, how we are seamless with how our communities function with each other, and so on and so forth. And this was a very interesting project, since it is an impermanent structure, and now the structure has been shifted to the Bangalore International Airport. So if anybody's landing there, you'll get to see this artwork there as well. So it's interesting that there's a very nice bridge between the art world and the social work, which is something which both hold very big importance to me. And um, I've always wanted to merge the two in whatever way I could. And I think, we're still striving to do better in that. Um, Similarly, during the COVID, we painted a metro station in Bangalore, and this was right behind a big hospital that actually was aiding towards the people affected with COVID. And then while we were painting this, the doctors, the ambulance drivers, and people who worked in the hospital came and painted with us, and felt really happy that somebody was, recognizing their work and have made an artwork about it. This was, of course, commissioned by a radio channel here locally, plus the government body which owns the metro, which is the Bangalore Metropolitan, Railway Limited. So, yeah, this is a project in Tamil Nadu, again with the district commissioner, about redoing a building, right? So instead of demolishing a building and recreating it with glass panels, which is something that's very mundane, we just thought, we pitched that we'll uplift the building by painting it with the people around the building. All these are people who are actually small salespeople around the building, and now they take care of the building as their own, because they're like, our photos are on it. That means we should take care of it. So it brings a sense of community. And while we are painting, and in the team, like I mentioned, we are like 2 cis women and the rest of us are trans women. Um, People also tend to completely actually detach from the fact that they were thinking differently about the trans community. So it's really incredible, those kind of changes happen within people without us having to say anything. That is the best part. I think largely in the Aravani Art Project, none of us like to talk much, except me. Now I have to do this talking. But apart from that, all of us just like to do our work and like just paint. And when people come and have a conversation with us in private, we really enjoy those one-on-ones because they really make a difference at that point of time. Um, we have painted several walls, and each of these walls that you see are products of co-creation that happens. So we are always listening and taking stories from the people from the trans community, listening to their ideas and visualizing it for them, because it cannot happen any other way. If they are the ones painting it, it should be their story. The only job for me as a designer is to make sure that that story comes across to people who are viewing it and the people who are creating it, I mean, painting it or processing it. Um, we've had a very great opportunity to travel to San Francisco to paint this mural in the Facebook headquarters as part of the then Facebook Artist in Residence and now Meta Arts. And it was a very beautiful journey to actually travel with two trans women from India to the US, and both have never ever imagined, even stepping into a flight, forget the US. And it was a very overwhelming experience nonetheless, but it was a beautiful project. Um, so I'd like to touch upon one point importantly here, that we focus a lot on intersectionality, and it happened very unintentionally from the starting of our project. In fact, when we started the project, we never even knew the word intersectionality existed. And it just suddenly started popping up everywhere because somebody recognized it within our organization. And it has always existed. I think now it's just got a label. Um, in India, especially because it's quite populated, all of us, a lot of them live in ghettos and smaller slum areas, and everything has to be shared. And there is no scope of discrimination in such spaces. There's always a lot of sisterhood. There's always a lot of sharing, and there's just a lot of bond between the women, let's say. So that's something we wanted to celebrate within this artwork. It was this huge slum quarters in Chennai, in India, and we painted a mural that would celebrate how intersectionality is seamless in these spaces. And every day at 6 o'clock in the evening, all the women from their household will come together, sit in circles, and gossip and discuss their own lives, and do their work, tie flowers, cut vegetables, cut fish, just do their household work, but not inside the house, and come outside, which was very important for us to capture. Same in a big slum called Dharavi in Bombay, we painted about how kindness is such an important factor when you're living in really small spaces. It's super important to have that interdependence, and to also for us to observe it and paint it was something that was really, really beautiful and magical. And all of this was executed by the people from the trans community, from my team, who are now almost 35 of them, who are transgender people. We have 2 cis women and 3 cis men who help us with sometimes on ground, man lift and things like that, which we need help with. Yeah, I think my presentation is coming to an end now. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And I really, really hope to come and paint in Canada someday. And until then, for more of our projects, do follow us on Instagram. We are Aravani Art Project, or you can visit our website, which is also aravaniartproject.com. Thank you.